Welcome to Retail's Most Wanted, the podcast that examines the latest issues related to organized retail crime and how retailers and policymakers are fighting back against today's organized crime syndicates. On today's show, we're joined by Detective Mark Holtzen. It's a great conversation. He's the vice president of the Arizona Organized Retail Crime Association, or what we call during the show for the most part, AZ-ORCA. He's also the secretary of the executive board of Western States ORCA. Detective Holtzen helps lead one of the most robust public-private collaboratives in the Southwest, working to disrupt criminal networks targeting retail communities across Arizona and beyond. It's a great conversation. We can't wait for you to hear it. But first, this word from our sponsor. Retail's Most Wanted is brought to you in partnership with LVT, securing physical environments through intelligent automation. Learn more at lvt.com. That's lvt.com. Mark Holtzen, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, let's start here. Can you describe AZ-ORCA's mission and how it brings together retailers and law enforcement across Arizona?
Yeah, absolutely. So AZ-ORCA, or the Arizona Organized Retail Crime Association, is a partnership in Arizona of law enforcement, retail investigators, and prosecutors. So we have membership that span across almost every law enforcement agency in the state, prosecutors from varying different, prosecuting from city to county to statewide prosecution, and then retail investigators from all of the big businesses. So we meet monthly, and our whole goal is just to work to combat retail crime.
What's the scope of the problem right now? Like, what's the biggest organized retail crime trends that you're seeing in Arizona currently?
So the scope sometimes feels like it's everybody stealing everywhere all the time, but that's probably just because this is all that I look at when I'm at work. We have definitely a lot, an overwhelming majority of theft is, as you know, it's not people stealing what they want. It's people stealing because what they want is money, and any object can get them money if they can sell it. So we do see both local fencing operations where, you may have addicts or just thieves who are stealing and then bringing it to fencing operations. We also definitely have a lot of traveling crews who will come in from out of state and maybe spend 2 to 3 days here stealing as much as they can for the specific item they're looking for and then return to the state that they came from. I think one of the big things that I've seen recently in a lot of the investigations for the local stuff that is part of what's driving it is, especially back in like the 2020 or the early 2020s, a lot of people started to be resellers where they'd buy things and resell it. And even those who maybe had originally intentions to do it lawfully, purchase things on sale, coupons, etc., found that it was more profitable if somebody just stole something and brought it to you. And so we've seen a lot of people who basically started a business, but at some point in time allowed themselves to cross that moral threshold and get into trafficking stolen property. And so that's again, something that we've seen multiple times here, and I imagine that's true elsewhere as well.
Yeah, I imagine that the ability for people to resell products legitimately has also, of course, opened up the avenues for people to do it with stolen merchandise as well. When we talk to experts about organized retail crime, combating organized retail crime, I would say a theme that we've picked up on over the years is the importance of sharing intelligence, making sure that law enforcement is in communication with businesses, that various law enforcement agencies are in communication with each other and sharing intelligence. How does AZ-ORCA leverage shared intelligence platforms to disrupt organized retail crime syndicates, crews, and connect cases in real time?
Yeah, intelligence sharing is overwhelmingly the most important thing that we do as AZ-ORCA. There are monthly meetings that we have that are both in person and virtual. So we'll have people attending these meetings statewide virtually, and we will do case shares. Also, there are emails that can go out, but we use the Era platform, depending on how you pronounce it, that we have any AZ-ORCA member has access to the specific thread where we can post bulletins and share intel there. We do lots of networking. So most cases, if there's, if me as a law enforcement officer, if there's an investigation that includes another jurisdiction, I probably have the cell phone number of somebody from that jurisdiction, and I can just pick up the phone and give them a call.
That makes a big difference, I'm sure. How do organized retail crime syndicates evolve their tactics, and what does that mean for retailers and investigators from your experience?
Yeah, one of the things, the organized retail crime groups that are actually, studying what we do, responding, trying to better what a police response or a patrol response is. One of the things that we've seen is traveling crews will often have maybe multiple vehicles arriving at the same location, and then one will stay in the parking lot to keep an eye out. And that way, if any police cars pull in, you've got these, the boosters or the thieves inside the store. So the person who stays in the parking lot will call them and let them know, hey, there's a problem. The police are here. They'll set down all of the merchandise and exit the store without committing a theft at that moment. And for a responding patrol officer who only has really the capacity to address what happened at that moment, it ties their hands and sometimes makes it that they can't take any enforcement action. So we see a lot of things like that where they pay attention to what we do and then they try to work around it.
It's amazing. We hear that from a lot of folks, that they have the ability to be very nimble in making adjustments. So they're always sort of a step ahead, and then you close that gap and they kind of find a way to get ahead again. I'm wondering, on the legislative side or the policy side, are there any priorities that AZ-ORCA focuses on to strengthen the broader organized retail crime response in Arizona? Or do you feel like you have the policy and legislative framework right now that's optimized for what you're trying to accomplish?
Last month actually became a 501c3 nonprofit. So we, as AZ-ORCA, we are not a political organization in any way. However, many people in our organized retail crime fighting community are involved in more of the political side. So I'm happy to say in Arizona, we actually do have, I believe, very strong laws that help us combat retail crime. We have even recently passed some new laws in Arizona to help. This past legislative year, we got a new gift card theft or gift card fraud statute that helps us prosecute the people who are doing different types of gift card fraud that in the old legal framework, it just didn't sound like a theft and it didn't sound like a forgery, but now we have a new code to specifically address what was a crime trend nationwide or is a crime trend nationwide. And so we've also had good support from prosecutors on those, where they recognize when, these are felony cases, these are organized crime cases. And so, our strong laws against retail crime are also allowing us to issue warrants where we'll extradite people nationwide because they came here to commit crime. We'll take them back so that they can face justice here.
I know you sort of wear two hats, one with AZ-ORCA and another with the Western States ORCA. How does AZ-ORCA engage with national or regional partners like Western States ORCA to amplify impact beyond just Arizona?
Yeah, so we, yes, I have recently joined the executive board for Western States ORCA. There's a group there who've been doing some tremendous things for years, and I'm a bit of a newcomer in that group, but just honored to be a part of that conversation. And we try to do a lot of networking like we do within our state. We're trying to expand that to include networking abroad. When we have these organized crime groups that are traveling from state to state, we can't just keep it, hey, what do we have here in my city, my town, my state? We have to contact people. Retail investigators are generally really good at this because they have, people who work for the same company that they can just email. Law enforcement traditionally has a more siloed approach of, hey, we only look at things that happen within the invisible line boundary of our jurisdiction. So we're trying to expand and communicate more. I know I work in Phoenix, all of Arizona. We see a lot of retail crime that is connecting Arizona and Nevada, going both directions. So we know that some of our criminals head over there and some of their criminals head over here. And we've actually developed good relationships with retail crime investigators in Nevada. I've lost count of how many times I've called or emailed someone from Las Vegas Metro PD or North Las Vegas PD because, we've had case sharing. And we've had a lot of success with that in shared intelligence where we've been able to give them evidence to help them on their case, or they've been able to reciprocate and give us evidence on ours. I do think the national or multi-state collaboration is an area where we hopefully will see improvement in the future, because it is hard on a law enforcement side to see things on a multi-state level, because we only enforce state laws that apply in our state. And so it is hard from a law enforcement perspective, but I'm hoping the future will see improvement on those collaborations.
You mentioned earlier that you see organized retail crime everywhere, and it feels like people are stealing everything all of the time because this is the world you're immersed in. With that perspective, I'm interested in maybe one misperception about organized retail crime that you'd like policymakers or the public to understand more clearly. What is it you're seeing that you think, if people just understood this, they'd really understand more the scope of the problem?
Yeah, I think for people who don't live immersed in this world, something that I said earlier, when people steal things, they're usually not stealing it because that is an object they want. And the same thing is true when I was doing an armed robbery investigation or a burglary investigation. The same thing is true now with retail crime. Most theft is not stealing what you want. It's stealing because you want money. And I think if we stop looking at the object of the theft, it allows us to see the scope of what we're really dealing with. Instead of looking at a theft of yoga pants from Alo Yoga, saying, well, it's just yoga pants. If you say, no, they stole $5,000 worth of merchandise, not because they want pants, because they want money, it allows you to see beyond the object and understand how it really is organized crime.
All right, so looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunities to expand AZORCA's impact in 2026?
Oh, yeah, that's huge. I think the biggest impact we could have as far as progressing from where we already are would be trying to expand training to people who aren't already full-time dedicated to retail crime investigations. Those of us like myself who work in organized retail crime investigations, whether law enforcement or asset protection, we already have kind of the picture of what's going on. But if we tried to expand that and educate like young patrol officers who may not have experience with it yet, retail employees who don't work in asset protection and may not understand what they're seeing on the sales floor, or even prosecutors who may get assigned every type of crime under the sun to prosecute, giving or enlightening them on what it is that we're actually seeing, I think could help them understand the scope of this and help with the investigations and enforcement from kind of the first step.
Detective Mark Holtzen is the Vice President of the Arizona Organized Retail Crime Association. Detective, thanks so much for your work fighting back against organized retail crime, and thanks for joining us today.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
All right, that's it for this episode of Retail's Most Wanted. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, LVT. Don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button so you can catch each new episode. We drop one every 2 weeks. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can follow us there. Thanks for being with us, everyone. And as always, keep up the good fight.